If you have a cold, if you're feeling tired, if the world's been hard on you, this is exactly what you need. สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. So during my recent trip back to Thailand, one day my aunt brought for us these noodle soups from a famous place called ลูกชิ้นปลาบรรทัดทอง And when I ate it, I thought, wow, this is like the epitome of rustic Thai street food. It was a simple noodle soup that was basic, but also a total classic. Like when you say guay nam, which means noodle soup in Thai, this is the image that comes to mind for most people. A comforting clear broth with your noodle of choice and topped with some kind of meatballs or fish cakes. It is just like such comfort food for Thai people. Now, unlike some other Thai noodle soups I've shared in the past, like boat noodles or yen tafo, it doesn't have a ton of herbs and spices, toppings, and strong flavors. It's just well balanced, soothing, and totally satisfying. And good news for us, it is very easy to make at home. So let's first start with the very heart of this dish, which is the pork stock. We're gonna make a beautiful pork stock with pork bones. I'm using neck bones here, and I'm simply going to cover it with water. Bring it to a simmer, and then after it's simmered for 15 to 30 minutes, once I see a bunch of foam and scum floating to the top, I'm gonna come back and skim it all off. Once that's clean, then I can add my aromatics, which are daikon, onion, smashed garlic, cilantro stems or use roots if you have them, and some cracked white pepper. Now I'm going to let it simmer for another hour and 15 minutes at minimum. You can go longer if you have time. Just make sure you keep the bones submerged. And then when it's all done, it's going to smell incredible. I'm going to first take out the pork bones and let them cool a bit, then fish out all the veggies and discard. And now you have a delicious pork stock that you can freeze and use as a base for any kind of soup. Before you throw out the bones, remember to pick off all the meat. If you're using neck bones, you get a ton of meat that's now super tender. I like to season this with a little bit of soy sauce, and then you can top your noodle soup with it, or you can save it and put it in pasta sauces, fried rice, curries, really anything you want. Let's talk noodles. So if you go to Thailand, you go to any noodle soup vendor, they're gonna offer you several different kinds of noodles to choose from, and you can use whatever you want for this. But for me, if it's a light, clear broth, I like to stick with thinner noodles. They have a lot of surface area. They can pick up a lot of broth in one bite. And so today I'm gonna use the thinnest of them all, which is rice vermicelli. And today I'm using Pine Brand, who is our sponsor today. You have seen Pine Brand on the show many times. They make my favorite glass noodles, and recently they also started making high quality rice noodles. And so the rice vermicelli are great because they only take 10 minutes of soaking in room temp water before they're ready to cook, and they literally take like 3 seconds to cook. So it's a really good option for when you don't have a lot of time. If you prefer chewier noodles, you can also go with the 3mm size. This is a size that you would use for things like pad thai and whatnot. Or if you like really big noodles, they also make the thick size. And this is the one that you would use for things like pad see ew, pad kimao as well. So lots of noodle options, and I will include instructions on how to deal with all the different types of noodles in the recipe post on the website as always. Now let's talk protein. So the noodle soup that my aunt brought us in Thailand was guay tiao ลูกชิ้นปลา Guay tiao means noodles, and ลูกชิ้นปลา means fish cakes or fish balls. Now these are made basically from fish meat that's been ground up really, really fine, mixed with some seasonings, and then formed into shapes. And if they're yellow on the outside, that means they have been fried. Some of them have squid mixed in, some of them have shrimp mixed in, some of them have veggies mixed in, lots of flavors and colors. You can use whichever ones you want, but here is a tip for choosing good fish cakes when you are at the store. Now, at the very high end, like the artisanal fish cakes, like the ones that I had in Thailand, it's made only from fish and seasonings, okay? But at the very low end, like the super cheap ones, it's made from not as much fish and a lot of starches, fillers, and additives, okay? When you go to the store, most of them are going to be sort of somewhere in between. It's going to have some fish, some fillers, some starches, some additives. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I tell you that just so you know that they're not all the same. And when you're buying maybe don't go for the cheapest one available, and also check the ingredient list. The shorter the list, the better they tend to be. If you don't eat fish, not a problem. At the Asian store, you will also have options for pork balls, beef balls, chicken balls. Any kind of balls will work for this. They don't even have to be balls. You can top the noodles with any protein you want. And I'll include all of the different options that I can think of in the recipe post. Aside from that, all you're gonna need is some bean sprouts, some chopped cilantro and or green onions for the top, and some fried garlic. It's very easy to make. You literally just fry some garlic. I'll include instructions in the recipe. But once you fry the garlic, you're also gonna have garlic oil, which is gonna add amazing flavor to your noodle soup. You do not want to skip these. This is kind of special because I fried this garlic in rendered pork fat, which makes it extra delicious. You don't have to do that. Okay, so I've taken some of my pork stock here, the rest I'm going to freeze. And by the way, if you want to know what else you can do with the pork stock, tons of recipes on my website uses pork stock. It is the main stock that we use in Thai cuisine, so you will not be out of ideas. So I'm going to bring this to a boil and then season it simply with some soy sauce and some fish sauce, a little bit of sugar to balance, and if you want, not necessary, but some white pepper if you like a little more peppery kick. And I'm going to bring this to a boil. Boiling now. Now I'm going to add all of my fish cakes. And by the way, I like to have an assortment of fish cakes because they're more interesting that way. And you can buy assorted fish cakes at most Asian places. Now, fish cakes are already cooked. So all I'm doing now is to heat them through. If you are using them from frozen, you just throw them directly from frozen. You just take a little bit longer for them to heat up. This is what I love about Asian style meatballs and fish cakes. It's like when it comes to like weeknight meals, they are the best. You don't have to chop them, you don't have to thaw them. They're just so easy to work with. All right, so that's done. I'm gonna taste and adjust seasoning, also because sometimes the fish balls kind of leak flavor into the soup, which is a good thing, but you want to taste after the fish balls have gone in before you do your final adjustment. It smells so good. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, and I can taste the fish ball flavor too. Oh, one tip, when you taste, you want this to be strongly seasoned, okay? Because you're gonna add noodles, you're gonna add veggies, it's going to dilute a little bit. You don't wanna make it like too salty, but you definitely don't wanna make this like just perfect, okay? Just a little bit too much is good. All right, I'm gonna do a pot switcheroo and cook our noodles. Okay, so I've got my blanching water here going. Now, how you tell if the noodles are sufficiently soaked is when you lift them up, they should be completely limp, not resisting gravity at all. And if you're working with bigger noodles, you can also tell that they kind of went from translucent to completely opaque white. But because we're doing noodle soup, it's also very important you don't over soak them. Like don't leave them and walk away for 2 hours because they're gonna be sitting in hot soup when we eat, and so they do overcook more easily than if we were to stir fry with them. All right, water is boiling. I'm gonna put my noodles in here and I'm cooking them one portion. What is happening here? One portion at a time because it is a royal nightmare to separate cooked noodles. So this is why these noodle strainers are super, super handy. And some bean sprouts, as much as you want here. Now, these go in to the pot for 3 seconds, but only for this specific noodles. All other kind of noodles will take different amount of time, okay? 1, 2, 3. Whoop. Shake off everything. I love doing this. Makes me feel like I'm a street vendor. And boop. And so if you're doing multiple portions, this whole process should still only take you like a few minutes because each one takes so little time. All right, another pot switcheroo. And now we just have to pour the soup over the noodles along with as much soup as you like. Let me take one of each type of fish balls. Now some garnishes, as talked about, some fried garlic along with the rendered pork fat that the garlic fried in, and some chopped green onions and cilantro. And if you want, only if you've already got this sitting in the fridge, I wouldn't like go out to buy it. This is tang chai or preserved cabbage. Think of them like salty bacon bits, but made of cabbage. They just add a nice little like salty crunch. I used it in a couple other recipes on the site. And that is it. And now when we eat, I want to show you 2 different ways to eat it. Now, when you go to Thailand, you go to any noodle soup restaurant, you're going to notice some table-side condiments for you to adjust the taste of your noodle soup because Thai people believe that everyone has different tastes and you should be able to make this exactly how you like it. So you can do that if you want to recreate the Thai experience. The table condiment will usually include fish sauce for spicy. Did I say fish sauce for spicy? Fish sauce for salty. Chili vinegar for sour. This is just chilies and white vinegar, nothing fancy. Chili flakes for spicy, and some sugar for sweet. You don't have to add them, but feel free to do it. It's not wrong at all. Now, the 2 ways to eat that I was going to tell you about, the first way is the plain way. Like if you're looking for something comforting, this is, just take a sip of broth. Oh, so comforting. And some noodles. If you have a cold, if you're feeling tired, if the world's been hard on you, this is exactly what you need. But if you want some adrenaline rush, like if you want something a little more exciting, you want to do it tom yum style. Tom yum style is something that you can get at most noodle vendors. That means you're going to add a lot of chili flakes to make it spicy. Okay. I just added more chili flakes. And then a good squeeze of lime to make it sour. Not just a little bit, like you want a good squeeze here. Like I would say like about a tablespoon. And now this has just turned from something comforting to something exciting. It'll be spicy and sour. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Right now, this is how I want it. Some fish balls. It's like being in Thailand. And that is it. This is such a great way to bring street food into your home. The recipe, as always, will be on hotthaikitchen.com. A special thanks to all of our Patreon members who help support the show. If you want to know what that's all about, how you can get direct access to me, join our private Discord, I'll put the link in the description below. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time. สวัสดีค่ะ